Secretary defends finance systems over PNG EC claims. Schools say they will charge fees if they need to. And incorrect information collection stalls asylum seeker case.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening. This is Tuesday's news. Thank you for your company. Finance Secretary Dr. Ken Nangan has come out in defense of the finance management system following allegations by the Electoral Commissioner that 20 million kina of electoral funds have been diverted to fund TFF. In a statement this afternoon, Dr. Nangan said, according to the Public Finance Management Act, when a warrant is issued, there is no way the funds will be diverted because to do otherwise will be an outright breach. He said on February 1st, the first transfer of 20 million kina of electoral funds was done and the remaining balance of 20 million will be disbursed over the coming weeks. Yesterday, Electoral Commissioner Patilius Gamato said in a statement that a total of 40 million kina in election funds was released by the Finance Department last week to PNG EC's account, but only 20 million was uploaded, while the other 20 million kina was removed. As students begin the second week of the new school year, EMTV News visited some of the schools in Port Moresby to find out how they are coping after being told not to charge project fees. Schools visited by EMTV News are following orders, but the principal of Ward Street Primary, Emily Tamate, said that if the school needs to charge fees, they will.
We visited 4 schools in the nation's capital. The first school, Killa Primary, Principal Philip Suworo, said that no project fees will be charged.
We still need more funds to cater for our bigger schools like this. This is a level 7 school, and we have more students, and what we get from 40% is insufficient. So, but we have to be very careful what we do.
Gordon Secondary School had a principal notice clearly stating that no fees would be charged by the school. Meanwhile, the largest primary school in Port Moresby, Ward Street Primary, last year had almost 3,000 students enrolled, and Principal Emily Tamate Ricky said that while project fees have not been charged, the school may at one point ask parents to pay.
Maybe not now, not the beginning of the year, but if we decide to do something, not necessarily a project, but many little projects, like I am looking at furnitures for the students. That is really needed. That's a priority area for me. Okay. Yes.
Subsidies are scheduled to be paid this week, as stated by Finance Minister James Marper last week in Parliament. Tamate Ricky says she had managed to save subsidies from last year that came in late at the end of the school year, and she is now using that to start the school year off.
Oh, project fees were done well. But when I came into the school, we were depending only on TFF alone. No fees.
While the 4th school we visited, Geruhu Secondary School, had a circular from school asking parents to bring the deposit slips for school fees along for registration. We asked for an interview with the principal to explain what the school fee was for, but were denied an interview. Off camera, they explained it was a parental fee for exercise books. The tuition fee-free policy is supposed to help more students attend school, but it seems to be causing problems for school administrators who are tasked to run schools. Meanwhile, Education Minister Nick Kuman stated that he had the power to sack principals and boards if they charge fees after receiving TFF funds. Adelaide Sirox, Kari National, MTV News.
A head teacher of a primary school in Leh has questioned why full payments of the tuition fee-free funds are not being paid. Celine Yep says the government should clarify to schools how much is paid for each student and why the school is receiving only 40% of funds for administration. Last year, the school received only 9,000 kina to operate. She said this after she was asked to pay a cost of more than 11,000 kina to PNG Power in order to restore power at the school.
Last year, Christ the King Primary School in Leh received only 9,000 kina for their operations. In 2013, the school got 70,000 kina. Since then, the figure has shrunk.
With this TFF, it's not coming good. Now the government also need to tell us how much are they paying per child.
The TFF components include 40% for administration, 30% for teaching and learning resources, and 30% for infrastructure, which is deposited into district accounts and then to schools. Yep, however, was not satisfied, claiming that changes in procedures to acquire the TFF infrastructure and curriculum components were frustrating efforts to keep schools operational.
Part of the component went for TFF, went through the Trade Pacific, which was given to the schools. We only got the sample. The sample consists of a pen and just 1 and 4 exercise books. And they said this is just a sample and we will come and resupply the content to all the students. It never happened.
The head teachers said the 40% infrastructure component from the TFF payment alone is not effective. Yep said schools are charging parents fees in order to help the schools build new classrooms to cater for the influx of students.
Because the government is not going to pay for the classroom project. It's not going to give me 100,000 to build another classroom or 200,000 because that's not what I'm getting at the school. So you're talking about the basics. But what about the classrooms where the kids go to sit?
Julie Badui Owa, National MTV News, Leh.
Like all other schools throughout the country, the Sogeri National High School resumed its 2017 academic year last week. Principal Kive Kerarembo says the school achieved high academic results with its grade 12 students from last year. The new students have now settled into their second week of studies.
Sogeri National High School is a school of excellence. This academic year, it is expecting a student enrollment of 576 students. The school's learning facilities adequately cater for students' learning activities. However, student accommodation is limited.
The demand that is coming for students to come into Sogeri is overwhelming. And I don't know, for some reason, the whole country wants to send the students here, but we can only take around 270 per year. As we are speaking, there are hundreds of requests, parents still coming to look for space. So facility-wise, it's okay.
The academic output of Sogeri National High School continues to look promising with 90% of its grade 12 students selected to tertiary institutions. However, Mr. Kerarembo said the administration's only concern is with the government's tuition-free fee subsidy payment.
We appreciate the government giving the TFF money. Only problem is it doesn't come on time. Like as I'm speaking now, I don't think our TFF money has gone in yet. So I want to thank all the parents who understand this and then are paying something, because the moment they come here, we have to feed them something. Our school is a boarding school. We keep everybody, every student we enroll stays in the school, and then they eat and then they use power bills and so forth. So we have huge bills to pay. So I'd like to thank parents. You know, it's their decision to pay, and then when they're coming to pay, we are registering them. But that's, like I said, that's not a condition to register outside or not.
He said last year the school was on the verge of closing, but parents' component fees had sustained the institution until the close of the academic year. Eric Arupma, National MTV News.
The Ombudsman Commission has weighed in on the debate on the increase of nomination fees by filing a constitutional reference with the Supreme Court to find out if the proposed amendment is constitutional. With this reference, they will be asking that there be no further deliberations on the matter until after the Supreme Court deliberates. That could mean there will be more votes on the amendments bill in the March Parliament session. In the past, the Ombudsman Commission has filed two similar references when the fees were going to be raised from 100 kina to 1,000 kina. One was in 1982, where the Supreme Court found the proposal to be unconstitutional, and the second in 1992, when the OC challenge was unsuccessful. When we come back, the asylum seeker who fled to Fiji appears in court today. That story and more after the break. Welcome back to the news. The failure by arresting officers to collect correct information has resulted in the adjournment of the court case involving an asylum seeker. Boroko District Court Magistrate Maristella Pinup told the court she could not hear the case because of incorrect information listed on the summary of facts.
The adjournment came after the accused, 21-year-old Logman Sawari, told the court that the village name written on his summary of fact sheet was incorrect. Magistrate Pinup then told the police prosecution to confirm the name before court tomorrow. Magistrate Pinup said, and I quote, "This is his right and particulars need to be confirmed," end of quote. Sawari was charged for falsifying information. Police alleged that in July 2016, Sawari obtained travel documents from Immigration and Citizenship Authority services using false information. However, the full allegation was not read out in court because Sawari told the court the arresting officers did not ask him about the details of his village in Iraq. Sawari's case returns to court tomorrow afternoon for arraignment and bail application. He is remanded at the Waigani police station. Taklagunga, National, EMTV News.
Central Province is missing out on goods and services tax for projects in the province. Central Province Governor Kila Hauda announced his concern recently at the launch of a major hydropower project. He said any investor looking to invest in projects in the province must work with the provincial government.
Central Province Governor Kila Hauda was speaking at the launch of the multi-million Kina Edevu hydropower project located in the Koyari LLG in the Central Province. From information he obtained, a company may operate in the province like the hydropower project, but if its address is in NCD, the GST goes to NCD and not the Central Province. He said if this was so, he called on the minister responsible to take note for further discussions on the matter.
When Port Moresby was taken away, our GST was all taken away. I am Governor of Central Province, is a spectator in GST. I received from NCD, tip of the needle from them. Whereas I am the landowner of NCD.
Governor Hauda was adamant that the Central Province needs to be accorded a bit more respect from the national government for the sacrifices of its resources surrendered for the development of the nation.
Power generated here will be sold where? In Port Moresby, in NCD. Power generated in Rona is sold in NCD. The GST goes to NCD. The power is generated in my province. The GST should come to Governor Hauda for Central Province. We need a bit more respect from the national government on the resources that we've surrendered to the national government. And this is about time Central Province must stand up and say, let me be counted.
Deli Waigeno, National, EMTV News.
The autonomous Bougainville Government's Technical Service Department has confirmed that all documentation and designs, including tender documents of Phase 3 of the Buka Ring Road project, have been completed. Department Secretary Bennett Zelu told EMTV News that Phase 3 covers the next 35 kilometers of road. Fabian Hakalits files this report from Buka.
The designs for the next 35 kilometers have been completed, and also the tender documents are ready for the next 20 kilometers.
Phase 3 of the next 35 kilometers is from Hagus village and Hali constituency to Kassa and the Haku constituency. However, Mr. Chilu says roadworks will begin once funding is available.
With the funds available this year, we may be able to get maybe just 10 or 20 if we have funds coming good.
The first 20 kilometers of the 35 kilometers will be sealed, and tender documents for this project is also ready.
You see, we've already done the culverts, which will be next chain it's to go towards the next 35 kilometers actually to the end of the ring road on the east coast.
Other developments are also planned after the completion of the Phase 3 project of 35 kilometers. In Boca, Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
The government's expense and capacity development training for prisoners in correctional service institutions has lacked attention. Correctional Service Commander in Autonomous Region of Bougainville, Jackson Gubag, told EMTV News the national government was not serious about supporting the concept for prisons as the prisoners' rehabilitation hub. Fabian Hakelitz brings us this story from Buka.
State institutions like the Correctional Service Institute should by now be seen as rehabilitation centers under the concept of giving hope to prisoners. However, this concept might not work, Gubak says, if the national government doesn't provide the adequate resources for the prisoners' life after prison. Bekot Prison in Boca Island is one of the correctional service institutions which has adopted this concept.
Please build a real prison. You got to spend money to build a real prison so that we can cater for our youths. Our youths now roaming around in the street. We have to have something for them. You have to have a real rehabilitation center. You're not talking about those youths to come and plant tapioca or cacao. We need those detainees to be skills. They have to be trained with technical skills.
Currently, facilities at Berkut are not of standard. Gobak says there's need for proper facilities and funding from government to support the delivery of lifelong learning skills.
If you want to build a prison, please build a real prison. We have to be serious about it. So we can start Bekut, we can build on Bekut and then have Bekut as the foundation for correctional service in Europe. Then we can look elsewhere. We can have one in Central and the other one in South.
Meanwhile, concerns were also raised on the lost generation, which is important for Bougainville's journey towards a referendum.
To me, the real problem now are the lost generations. The real problem are the lost generations, those children who were born in the crisis and those who were affected. And some of those are now behind bars in prison.
In Boca, Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, the rehabilitation program for Brimo Correctional Institution has been given a small but significant boost this afternoon. LA SMEs specializing in shipping and logistics have signed an agreement with Brimo's jail command. The program will enable inmate Donald Sovi to be employed on casual terms as he undergoes a key part of the rehab program. And now looking at our finance news, the Kina opened unchanged at $0.3150 in the interbank markets. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.3075, $0.3988 Australian dollars, $0.2837 euro and 34.12 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and cocoa closed lower, coffee and copra closed the day higher. Crude oil and copper closed lower, while palm oil closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 167.51 points higher. The ASX is trading at 1.42 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 8.8 points lower. Stories making headlines overseas when we come back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Australian authorities today reported the country's law enforcement agencies have seized a record 1.4 tonnes of cocaine worth 312 million Australian dollars from an Australia-bound yacht during a covert midnight operation last week. In a joint statement, Australia's Justice Minister Michael Keenan and Immigration Minister Peter Dutton said 6 men, 5 of whom Australians, have been charged with conspiracy to import drugs and could face life imprisonment.
This is the largest cocaine haul ever seized in a single operation in Australia and is over 400 kilos greater than the previous record of 938 kilos in Western Australia's state in 2001. Keenan told a news conference why smuggling drugs to Australia is an attractive market for criminals.
Now, the Australian drug market continues to be highly lucrative for people who peddle in the misery of drugs. We pay an enormous price, more than any equivalent market in the world. And just to give you some idea, a kilogram of cocaine in the United States would be worth 26,000 Australian dollars. Here it can sell for up to 240,000 Australian dollars. So you can see why this acts as a honeypot effect for organised criminals from all around the world.
The ministers also jointly said the interception was the result of a dogged 2.5-year multi-agency pursuit involving the Australian Federal Police, Australian Border Force and New Zealand Customs Service. They added the cocaine would have resulted in 1.4 million street deals without providing details of the latest seizure. Lorraine Gabina, EMTV World News.
While the lawyers argue the status of President Trump's travel ban, his top advisors are trying to move beyond the infighting and rivalry inside the White House.
President Trump's top aides are taking pains to insist everything's going smoothly in the West Wing.
We're a very tight group. You know, we all lived in the foxhole together.
In a whirlwind 2 weeks, Trump has delivered on many of his campaign promises.
We'll begin immediate construction of a border wall.
But he's done so with chaos churning in the background. The president faced backlash for putting Chief Strategist Steve Bannon on the Principals Committee of the National Security Council. And the rocky rollout of Trump's travel ban was panned even by his close allies, who say he wasn't well served by his advisors.
The president has a structure inside the White House with 3 folks who are predominantly in charge of operations at the White House, Mr. Bannon, Mr. Kushner, and Mr. Priebus. I think anyone who looks at this knows that it could have been and should have been done better.
While Vice President Mike Pence acknowledged there were some missteps.
We'll concede that sometimes the usual Washington niceties of informing members of Congress were not, fully implemented.
It's all part of a learning curve for Trump and his team. Advisors say the president didn't realize how controversial it would be to put Bannon on the Principals Committee. And with the travel ban now embroiled in legal challenges, Trump has tasked Priebus with ensuring future agenda items are implemented smoothly.
Rights is fantastic.
But sources tell CNN the Trump administration is putting more energy into downplaying reports of staff fighting than actually solving tensions that persist between Priebus, Bannon, and others in the West Wing. Those tensions may put Trump's GOP allies in Washington on edge, but there's little sign they bother the president. This weekend, he tweeted, "I call my own shots, largely based on an accumulation of data, and everyone knows it." Trump is often the driving force behind the cycles of chaos, then calm, that were all too common in his presidential campaign. The big challenge for his team, moderating the impulse to act first and deal with the fallout later.
Chukai Sports is next. We'll bring you news on rugby league, soccer and surfing. Stay tuned.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. Emergency Line Pacific has secured the first golden pass in the Coca-Cola Ipatas Cup. They beat SSY Brothers 11-0 in last weekend's Jiwaka Challenge in Bunning.
In the Central and NCD leg, 4 teams will go head-to-head on Saturday, where 2 teams will be given a gold pass to proceed to the next stage of the Coca-Cola Ipatas Cup. This weekend will also see the Western Highlands Challenge get underway in Jiwaka Province. 5 challenges still remain before the knockout stages of the Coca-Cola Ipatas Cup. There is Pacific Ipatas Cup Challenge, which kicks off on the 17th of February, Southern Highlands Challenge also on the 17th of February, the Morobe Medang Challenge on the 24th of February, and the Western Highlands and Southern leg, which ends this weekend. The finals of the Coca-Cola Ipatas Cup will be played in Enga Province. Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
Lay Football Association President and Lay City Manager Roy Kamen believes that football in PNG needs to be assisted to grow. In an interview, he clarified the stance that Lay Football is taking in response to the suspension by PNGFA and that they hope that they can be more inclusive to both the rural and smaller associations. Kamen claims that despite PNG football receiving large amounts of money, the association throughout the country have not been given any form of financial assistance by the mother body.
We think PNGFA has been maybe telling lies to the organizations just to keep whoever is in power, or we understand that there's a lot of money coming down from OFC and FIFA to Papua New Guinea to support football in this country, but we have not seen any of this money. Where this money go, we don't know. And that is why the associations in the country have been vocal about having new executives in there to make sure whatever is being given by FIFA and OFC must come and go down to the grassroots people who enjoy soccer. Right now, people in the villages and in the districts, in the LNGs in the country, they don't enjoy football because football funding that is supposed to be going down to them comes and stops somewhere.
The inaugural PNG Kumo Longboard Championship is just a week away, and Surfing Association of PNG made the announcement of another partnership with telecommunication leaders Telecom PNG Limited. The sponsorship, valued at over 100,000 kina, will enable Telecom to deploy very small aperture terminal or VSAT technology, which will provide for the uplink video and Wi-Fi for officials and athletes in Tupira.
The Longboard Championship will be staged in Tupira village in Madang. Telecom Chief Executive Officer Michael Donnelly said Telecom PNG is pleased to support SA PNG to promote surfing and provide services to remote villages is encouraging.
From Telecom's point of view, at a personal level, I'm a surfer for a long time, so it was at one hand I understand the value that surfing brings, particularly to regional and remote areas, because the surf is often in those sorts of locations, not in the cities. So in this case, just outside Madang, I won't try and pronounce the village name, but so we are there. We think it's a great sport. We think it's a sport that is good for Papua New Guineans. You're well endowed with great surfing breaks, some world-class surfing breaks, and sponsoring these events is good for us, but it's certainly good to sponsor it around the country.
In Madang town, people will be able to experience 4G long-term evaluation or LTE coverage that was turned on recently in January. Officials and athletes will be able to surf the internet in Tupira when they are not surfing the waves.
It's a terminal together with the equipment on site, and we'll deploy about 4 engineers to set it up, and 1 engineer will be on site to support them throughout the program. In terms of the mobile coverage, we have a full mobile coverage in Madang area. As soon as they come to Madang, they will be able to share the images through the mobile network as well. So Telecom is now able to provide a mobile network in Madang and a VSAT with Wi-Fi in Bogia.
Donnelly also said Telecom PNG will have a team on site during the event to ensure this important world event gets the staging and broadcast quality it deserves. SA PNG President Andrew Abel was pleased with the partnership support and is proud to be working with the government to showcase and deliver this event to the world.
Telecom Papua New Guinea is a critical element in the staging of this inaugural historical event, because without Telecom PNG and the VSAT and their 4G service, we simply wouldn't be able to stage such an event of this magnitude, being beamed around Papua New Guinea and to 120 million people around the world.
Telecom PNG will work closely with World Surf League media specialists to deliver and broadcast live streaming to an estimated 120 million viewers around the world. The event will take place from the 18th to 25th March at the Tupira Surf Resort in Madang. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
Chukai Sports continues after the break. Don't go away.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome back to Chukai Sports. Team NCD General Manager Kila Dick says deferring the PNG Games will give more time for teams to prepare. He said the PNG Games is an expensive exercise and teams need to prepare well.
While PNG Games is seen to be an expensive exercise, Team NCD General Manager Killer Dick said hearing about the possible deferral of the PNG Games, it will give ample amount of time to provinces that are yet to properly prepare the provincial teams. He said if the PNG Games Council decides to go with the host organising committee's decision to defer the games, this will also take some pressure off Team NCD to sort out the remaining requirements, especially financial support to get the whole team to Kimbe.
PNG Games is concerned, and being the general team manager for Team NCD, I reckon that the deferment will be good for the various provinces. My main reason is because we are going to spend a lot of money, and some of the sports they cannot play outdoor. They cannot play outdoor because if it rains, we are not able to compete.
Last month, the host organising committee came up with 2 possible months if the games should be deferred, but the PNG Games Council will make the final call if the games should be deferred or continue as planned and to start on 18th of March.
The other thing is that, training is very important for us. There are some teams who are trying to defend their goal. There are some teams that are trying to defend their silver medals and bronze medal. But my instructions are that we are going there to win gold medal. And there's no uncertain terms, but we must win the gold medals because I want our team to be on top.
Meanwhile, West New Britain Governor Sindran Mutavel has requested to both the Prime Minister and the Sports Minister if the Games can coincide with the country's 42nd anniversary.
That's a brilliant idea. Celebrating independence with PNG Games is a brilliant idea. It will demonstrate the importance of celebrating independence with the PNG Games. So it will be a showcase for our people in West New Britain in Kimbe, and I reckon that they will celebrate with the understanding and the importance of and the value for independence celebrations.
The main reason of the possible deferral of the 7th BSP PNG Games is due to bad weather expected in March, which may interfere with the games. Godwin Eki, National MTV Sports.
All Blacks lock Patrick Tuipulotu was shocked by a drug test that turned out positive, resulting in his suspension. New Zealand Rugby and the New Zealand Rugby Players Association confirmed that they were advised of the result immediately last November.
New Zealand Rugby and New Zealand Rugby Players Association are working closely to find the source of the illicit substance while Tuipulotu remains in suspension. That is in accordance with the World Rugby Anti-Doping Regulations. With NZR and NZRPA's confidential regulations, details surrounding his suspension and the drug test remain under wraps while the 24-year-old waits to be cleared.
On the face of it, the positive test stands, and it would be for an athlete to show that for some reason that was invalid. If they can't do that, then that's the case. A reason that's perhaps a medical reason or some other understandable reason, and so the starting point for penalties is different.
For Tuipulotu, the positive result came from what's referred to as a specified substance, so there is still a chance he can be found to be not consuming the substance intentionally, and the penalties amount to only 2 years suspension, while non-specified substances like anabolic steroids carry a maximum of 4 years. The All Blacks lock now awaits final decision as investigations proceed. Dinirose Raiko, National MTV Sports.
To football, Vincent Abubakar scored a brilliant late goal to hand unfancied Cameroon a 2-1 victory over Egypt as they claimed their 5th African Nations Cup title in the final in Gabon on Sunday. Cameroon, who had 8 of their players withdraw before the tournament, came from a goal down after midfielder Mohamed El Neni had put Egypt ahead midway through the first half. Nicolas Nkolo equalized on the hour, and as Egypt tired, Cameroon appeared to find a new gear, creating several chances before Abubakar lashed the ball home in the 88th minute. It was Cameroon's first title since 2002 and denied Egypt a triumphant return to the tournament they last won in 2010. Atletico Madrid coach Diego Simeone said on Monday, February 6, his side would have to be at its best to beat Barcelona when Los Colchoneros clash against the Catalan club in the second leg of the Kings Cup semi-final. Atletico, who have not won at Barcelona since a 3-1 victory on February 5, 2006, need to score at least 2 goals to progress.
Goals from Luis Suarez and Lionel Messi had given Barca a 2-1 win in last week's first leg in Madrid. Barcelona are now undefeated in their last 9 matches in all competitions they've taken part in. Asked about their rival, coach Diego Simeone said Barcelona might be the best team in the world.
Vamos a enfrentar un equipo poderoso, seguramente el mejor del mundo, preparado para cualquier equipo que lo quiera presionar en campo de ellos, preparado para jugar de contragolpe mucho más fácil que cuando comienza desde atrás.
Atletico will not have Gabi on board against Barcelona due to suspension, but Simeone did not give journalists any clues as to his starting lineup for the competition.
Jugar con la misma intensidad que hemos tenido por pasajes de la temporada o los mejores pasajes de la temporada, buscando sobre todo sentirnos bien con nosotros mismos como equipo. Y a partir de...
With Neymar suspended, Luis Suarez is expected to return to the starting 11 after resting at the weekend. One of 6 changes Barca's Luis Enrique has made. Defender Gerard Piqué has recovered from a thigh injury suffered against Atletico and trained on Monday. Jeremy Moggy, National TV Sports.
And that ends Chukai Sports. Up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours. Stay tuned.
Chukai Sports. Chukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Looking at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours, in the southern region, cloudy periods with chances of light showers tonight in Port Moresby, Daru and Kerema. Occasional rain showers with possible thunderstorms in Alutau and a few rain showers tonight in Popondetta. In the Momasi region, rain showers tonight in Lae, mostly fine, then chances of light showers developing tonight in Medang, Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine in Lorengau and Kavieng, mostly fine, then chances of light showers tonight in Kokopo, Rabaul, Kimbe and Buka. And in the Highlands region, cloudy periods with chances of rain showers tonight in all centres. Forecast for small ships for the next 24 hours. Strong wind warning current to all coastal waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru, also Hood Point to Samaria Island, including Milne Bay and its islands. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru, seas of 2 to 3 meters. Waters of east of Daru to Kiwai Island to Kerema to Yule Island, and with waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Island, seas of 1 to 2 meters. Waters east of Yule Island to Hood Point to Samaria Island, seas of 1.5 to 2.5 meters. And waters of Samaria Island to Cape Vogel to Finschhafen, with waters of Finschhafen through Vitia Strait. CSE Islands to Long Island, with waters west of Long Island to Medang, to Bogia to Wewak, to Aitape, to Vanimo, to northern PNG Indonesian border, with waters of Manus and its western group of islands, and with waters of New Ireland to New Britain and to Bougainville, seas of 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Ocean forecast for PNG areas in the Coral Sea. Seas moderate to rather rough with northwest to southwest winds at 15 to 25 knots. In the Solomon Sea, seas moderate to rather rough, becoming rough over some areas with northwest winds at 10 to 20 knots, reaching 25 to 34 knots. And in the Bismarck Sea, seas slight to moderate with west to northwest winds at 10 to 15 knots. And in the Pacific Ocean, seas slight with northwest winds at 10 to 15 knots.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
And that's been the news, sports and weather for tonight, Tuesday, 7th February 2017. On behalf of the entire EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.